Okay, so my guest today is Carson Poe. How you doing,
I'm
Carson?
doing good. How are you?
Good. So Carson, you're the co-founder of Apex Lenses, correct?
Yeah, me and a good buddy of mine, Trevor, started it about almost 4 years ago.
That's funny. We like talk like we don't know each other.
Yeah.
Like we already know
I
the
know.
story.
So yeah, how are you? Good.
It's like
I've known you too long, so it's like
I know.
talking
Yeah,
like
we know.
robots.
Yeah, exactly. So like
Cameras are rolling.
we got a train coming.
It'd be funny if you guys did like a train pause, right? And then it cuts to like a random shot.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
I say leave it in, man. It adds a little flavor.
So I've known you for over 20 years, right?
I mean, we worked on a few projects together. I don't know. I've seen all your work. So it's like finally getting to work together on anything was like, I kind of felt like, all right, we gotta get our shit together, make sure like it's professional. You know what I mean? That like, cause me and Trevor were shooting videos like on the fly,
Yeah.
like guerrilla shooting, like just whatever we needed to. And then like you brought, I guess, structure to it, like more like professionalism, really.
Yeah, like this is how we think
It was
about
like,
it.
it was like, yeah, it was good. It was good.
No,
to,
it was a
like,
good mix. I actually missed that. Like I literally was like, that was one of those are projects where you're like, man, that was just a fun experience.
yeah, that's one of the biggest things I guess I miss with in-flight is the filming, like
Yeah.
the SEO, the web design, and all that. Like that's cool, but the video is the coolest.
Well, you can like see it
It's
while you're
visual
doing it.
storytelling.
It is visual storytelling. You can like see it while you're doing it. Give me a little backstory about yourself, because yeah, people want to know who are you.
Born and
where
raised,
you come
born and
from.
raised in Alaska. Moved to New Mexico when I was 16, so I was a junior in high school. Parents moved out of New Mexico right when I graduated high school. They moved out to Arizona, so I stayed. I got my degree in animation and visual effects. I almost switched to film. I really did. My major, my junior year, and they're like,
Yeah, dude.
"You're taking all the same classes. Like it's everything's the same.
really?
It's just a different title. That's all it was." And so
Oh.
one of my counselors were like, "Animation and visual effects sounds cooler than just being a film student," because everybody in that was like, "I'm a film student,"
Yeah.
right? And it's like,
Well, like back then in the creative space when you're in school, like it's interesting how you're trying to figure out what facet of production or
yeah.
creative you
Well,
want to
that-
go into,
yeah,
because you're
well-
not sure.
Well, check
maybe.
this out. So senior year, everybody had to do a senior project, and everybody was doing like 3D animations, and I was like, "Let me sound design them." Like I didn't even want to do the 3D animation work. I just wanted to sound design some projects, and so
Yeah.
they actually let me sound design 3 animated, like they're drafts, rough drafts. You know, these kids are putting together.
But still,
Yeah, it was cool. Like there's like 3 different stories, and like I got to like, yeah, because like you watch it without sound, it's boring. You know, you add sound. That's what like sound is everything.
oh yeah, you do have a sound background. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that. That's a great.
Music production. My sister was in a recording studio at like 14, 15, so I was 10, 11 watching this, and I was like, oh, that's cool. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
So then, right out of college, I actually ended up at a church running the soundboards.
Okay.
So like I was just around audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I remember that. At a young age,
Mhm.
like the ability to like make the audio just really
Yeah.
pop. You were really good at that.
Yeah, it was fun. The music production side though is just it's a lot of work for little like no pay,
Yeah.
and so
It's
like
a tough
starving
field.
musicians don't want to pay you, top dollar.
You're in a creative field. There's a lot of people that can create, but how do you monetize? Like, what's the
Well, that's
Yeah.
what we didn't know out of college, right? So when me and Trevor, also co-founder of Apex, when we got together for the first time and started In-Flight, the first company, it was like let's just be creative. Like it wasn't even about monetizing it. It was about
Sure.
just let's still be creative. And so we were like, well, let's do it ourselves and just see what happens. When we started In-Flight, we just wanted to create, really. It didn't matter what it was, websites, videos. Did it for 8, 9 years. And right before the pandemic, we made a switch. We wanted to do something else, just something different besides what we were doing. And Apex kind of evolved into something bigger. It was a hobby.
It was crazy.
It was a hobby. It wasn't like
I
a
remember.
real thing until I remember we sold like 4 or 5 orders in one day, and I was like, oh, we struck gold. Like this is gonna work. And we just kept fueling the fire.
I know. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, cutting. Well, yeah. It took my mom 2 years to realize what we were actually. She was like, "Oh, my son sells sunglasses." I'm like, "No, I don't sell sunglasses. I sell the lenses that go in the sunglasses."
I sell the sprockets and the wingdings that go in it. You know what I mean? The pieces.
People don't even know you can replace them, and it's really easy to do. They pop right out, cut to replacing a lens. You got to market to people who have no idea this thing exists. But once they find out it exists, like, oh, this saves me so much money.
Well, you guys solve a problem.
Yeah. Well, and everybody wears sunglasses.
Yeah, everyone. How all that stuff happens now, and just how businesses are created, and it's been crazy to see you guys.
Yeah,
evolve.
We treated Apex like a client, and it just kind of grew and got a little bit bigger, and then finally we started slowly just transitioning into Apex.
What's like an inward marketing? Like you invest in what you're good at. Creation of Apex is a creative endeavor.
Yeah, you know I mean, it's taking idea, concept to actual execution. Once we bought the first machine and it showed up and we cut a pair of lenses and it worked perfectly, I was like, oh, it's on. Because now all we have to do is just get more orders. Yeah, and that's what we're good at, right? Yeah. So it's like, it's cool to collaborate with other creatives and hear outside takes on what we're doing, for sure. Like I talk to you once a week about it. Yeah, you know, like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's cool to see people in your sphere that know your story. Like, just get to like reflect and talk about like, you know, like the experiences. Because it's like, no matter how far you go, you always feel like, you know, I'm just learning and trying new things. You never stop being curious about what's possible. And I think that's where like I get excited in times like that. Like even with this podcast, like this podcast is like rejuvenated even the team. It's definitely brought you guys together. I mean, you guys are working on something for you. Well, it's like there's these other things that happen with it. Like we're doing the podcast, but in the act of doing it, we're exploring ideas. We're exploring. As soon as I saw that first, you sent me that rough cut. I was like, you could take this anywhere you want. When you see a format of a podcast, like you already have a predisposed idea of like, okay, I know what to expect here. We were talking about that Caleb Presley from Sunday Conversation. Oh yeah. Like no one knew who he was, but he just was persistent. He blew up off of an interview. And then like now people are like actively seeking to get on that show. Yeah. Like even how does that work? Like clout. I mean, is it clout chasers? I mean, like Post Malone's on there. Well, like, all the PR people for those celebrities. Well, yeah, I mean, we got to get on that. It's their job chasing clout. It's even interesting the idea of clout and like what are we all chasing? And like, I like people or organizations even that can do and be true to who they are. Like, I don't think you want to change. I think that's even something that's interesting to explore the idea of that when you start outwardly talking about your business and what you do. Because I think for creatives, it's a lot of creatives are just like, internalize a lot of like, oh, my work will speak for itself. I'll just show my video. But and it's like, I sorry to interrupt, but like you have the sauce, right? So you don't want to give too much. I mean, but if you're like confident in your own sauce, like does it like there's something special? You don't need to show. I guess what I meant is like you don't need to show how it's made. They love to see how things happen. Yeah, I think people are curious about what creatives have to say about certain things, like insight, right? People like I don't think. Like, for instance, like if you wanted to watch Adobe Premiere tutorial, you can just go on YouTube and watch that, right? But if you want to watch an Emmy-winning award, director, you watch the podcast with he's on it, right? Like you get into the mind of whoever is on the podcast, which is cool to see. Like I don't know, you can release so much different kind of content off of something like this. Yeah, and it's even cool to it's cool that we've actually like over the years talked through ideas. So like, I mean, you should have started a podcast years ago. Yeah, the hockey podcast. Yeah, playing puck. Yeah, it's kind of funny how like there's certain bonds that people have, and like ours is playing a video game, hockey. You know? Yeah, our generation. I mean, kids nowadays, they do the same. Yeah, we still play puck. Roller coaster of emotions, broken controllers. Yeah, I've probably spent almost $1,000 on new controllers. Yeah, you see the array up front. How many we've just gone through? Yeah, I want to play Jesse after this. Yeah, I'm not playing you. Yeah, no. Jesse won't. Trying to have a good day. Yeah, ruin the day. That's why I want to play Jesse. Yeah, so you can get a dub off him. Yeah, easy dubs. Dubs. Watch out for larks. I talk so much trash about Jesse. I love him though. Yeah. It's my guy. He's great. So, dude, yeah. So you kind of talked about it, but yeah, what? So you did kind of touch on it, but again, tell me what made you decide to go into the lens business specifically? Like, how did you? I don't think it was like a just like I'm doing this now, like a straight. This is it. I think it was like, let's see if it works. It just started growing on itself, like organically. Like we weren't paying for ads. We weren't, we just listed on Amazon. That's all we did. Then 2020 hit, like right when we started. Yeah, I remember. And everybody was at home. Yeah, everybody was on Amazon. Yeah. So we actually were selling during the pandemic. 2-year growth. We went from 1 machine to 5. It's scaled organically. Like we really don't spend a lot of money on the marketing. No, you know what it is. You know how to do it.
You're an editor by trade.
No, it's
you're like, no,
it's
we're
email
doing
blast.
we're
It's
doing no marketing, and then I see this like disgusting video come out, and I'm like, weird.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, trust me, Doug. You've been putting down the edits. Let me just run that back.
Yeah.
Let me run that back. I mean, but seriously, like if you have an audience, that's what gets crazy. So if you can create a podcast that you're talking about things that are interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's numbers, right? People want to get eyeballs on their whatever it
people
is
are
on their product. All the podcasts I watch, after maybe 10 minutes, it cuts to DoorDash or whatever the sponsors of the day is, right? Like Manscaped. I'm like, should I put Apex on these? Like, is it working? Like, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
curious.
it's got to be. Some of it's got to be converting,
Gotta
and that's
work.
where that's a lot of like, there's marketing agencies out here, and there's people out here. Like, I don't know. It's wild to just be in that space and understand it all. It all works together, and you have to really think about how that works and understand.
Well, it's just communicate, like finding the right person to contact.
Yeah,
like, there's a gatekeeper, and you get through the gatekeeper, you're good.
You've always been, in my opinion, an artist, somebody who knows how to create things. You had your graffiti phase, or you're like, there's different phases
everything
you went through.
Well, it was hip hop, right? It was hip hop.
It's interesting to see that playing out, and like now how that's playing out as business owner.
No, it's been fun, man. You've seen me every step of the way, so it's cool to like be at this point and look back at like how far we've come. It just like gives me hope because it's like, what is next, right? Like we come this far and it's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah,
the ride's not over.
I remember specifically when Hybrid Colors started. I remember you were like young.
Yeah,
and you were like, oh, that's cool what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
and like it was like a vibe.
Yeah.
Think about that transition.
Yeah, well, it's the risk, right? Like, wow, he's taking that first step toward. You don't realize it at the time. You get to the top of the stairs and you're like, oh man, like you had to take that first step. It's cool to see. It's cool to see the growth. I always think like, what's next? Like, is Apex my end be all? But it's not. There's no way it can be. Just of all the things, and it's involved like. From the music production to the marketing to now a product, it's like, what is next? Like, is it real estate? Is it this? Is it that? I don't know. But for now, I'm fully focused on getting this to where it needs to be. And then we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
But I would there's nothing more I would want more. I'll say more a couple more times, is to collaborate, man. Like, collaboration is the one thing that brands need to do more of. I feel like when you collaborate with someone, it's like you're taking the best of their creative, you're mixing it with the best of your creative, and that's where magic's made. Because then it's like this, it could be real special.
Like Salt Hunter.
Yeah, I mean, I think Salt Hunter makes perfect sense with Apex lenses. People will eat that up.
Yeah, it's like understand. Well, it's trying to be ready and creating an audience that like gets behind.
Yeah, well, and like there's a big fishing market that buys our product. So it's like if you can reach 500 to 600 people who fish every week, they're going to be like, what is this?
Some people are like, pushing back on content, like there's too much. So I even think it's interesting, like how you approach it. I mean, there's never too much content, but yeah, it's like
content is king.
Yeah, content is king, but it's interesting how we interact with it now.
Well, our attention spans are like a half a second. So if you can capture them in the first 1 or 2 seconds,
like boom, boom, yeah.
Yes. What do you want? What are you selling? Okay, I either like it or I don't within 3 seconds. Our brains are so fast. It's tough because people don't know even the option to replace your sunglass lenses even exists. So we got to let them know that this is possible within like 5 seconds to initially get that first, to get them the first. It's not easy. If you send Salt Hunter video to someone who like doesn't care about fishing at all, they're like, okay.
And that's okay.
That is okay. Yeah. It's like, just toss it, whatever. Don't watch it.
Sometimes I think people get caught in this thing where it's like every piece of content needs to do everything. And it's like you get better results when the content is more potent for your audience. So you just have different.
Well, yeah. It's like you don't put a Harley.
Yeah, it's just certain things. Yeah.
Well, I'd call you at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle, what do you think about this?
And I'd be like,
The opportunity's created out of nowhere sometimes.
It's like you got to be ready, ready for the opportunity. It's not going to happen when you're on your time.
Or there'll be an opportunity that looks like almost like too good to be true. Who knows? Maybe it was too good to be true. Speaking of opportunities, thanks for having me here, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love this setup. This is cool.
It's cool. Huh?
This is cool.
You've seen the progression of our offices. You've been watching. Like, what's up?
Well, this reminds me of our second office, the one in Tempe. So it was like a big open space. We weren't filming. We weren't doing any of that. It was like unnecessary. This is so necessary, like for what you guys are doing. It makes perfect sense. And it's just like a vibe. It's cool.
Yeah, no, it's provided us a lot of opportunity.
Like I said, when I walked in here, I didn't even really notice this setup. Like I just was like, oh yeah, it's like so much to look at, right?
Yeah,
And then
you
you see this, you're like, oh, this is cool too.
You can't pinpoint like
No.
there's an entire podcast studio inside it.
Yeah. Well, as a creative, I'm like, okay, like I feel good here.
I mean, I'm telling you, bro, like if you guys just like,
This space would be perfect for what we're doing. Like it's funny, like we're in an office space doing like manufacturing. Like
Yeah.
we shouldn't be
And
where
we're-
we are,
and
but
we're-
it's
and
we
we're-
make it work,
yeah,
man.
yeah, it's tight, it's tight.
Yeah.
No, it works. I mean, and you guys have like blew the walls out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
the space has evolved.
after we split ties with our very last client, we knocked down our conference room because we're like, we don't need this anymore. And we put up a golf simulator. And it was like a milestone, like gift to ourselves, being like, okay, like it was just pretty cool to see like we are now transitioning into Apex, like full time.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
in flight it's been real, but now we're doing Apex. You can do anything with editing nowadays. That's why like it's almost like you see something, you're like, damn, how they do that? And then I put some serious thought into how they actually did it.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, that's legit.
Yeah.
I love watching like your progression of edits because your editing style's changed over the years too. But it's always been pretty like clean. Like I remember you told me like we don't use cross dissolves. And then like I watch one of your projects and like you have a cross dissolve in it. I'm like, what's it? Okay, dude. You just told me not to use them anymore.
Yeah, no, there's
Like, that's so 2013, bro. We don't do that anymore.
Trends change, different
Yeah,
styles.
for
change.
sure.
Even this quick cutting, this
Yeah.
vertical content.
Yeah. Well, you're the one setting the trend. It's so quick now.
So
Everything's
quick.
so quick.
But I think again, it always comes down to meaningful. It's something. I mean, if you want to, it's how you want your brand. Do you want your brand to be something that people just blow through real quick, or do you want it to be kind of meaningful, like certain types of?
I feel like you've always kind of like tried to figure out what is my brand, right? Like you've always been like, I want this to look a certain way, and then it's like always changing into something new, right? It's always fresh.
Like
It's never like landed, right? Like Kyle's never been like, hey, this is who I am. It's just constantly evolving and changing, which is good. I think you should constantly change.
And be comfortable in that, because I feel like a lot of times as a young person, or even just person in general, you're always searching.
Yeah, like who
And like
am I?
you come to a realization that you're like, dude, that's like you're always going to be searching.
Well, I
If you're
think
doing it right. I think
I think
feel
for,
like you should always be searching.
yeah, with creatives, it's like you're always searching for like what is the next, I guess, project. Like if you paint, like what's the next painting going to be? It was like you're an editor, and what's the next chop going to be? But for me, it's like with Apex, it's like, okay, I can do all these things. You just do it. And like when you start working at that pace, I think that's why it grew so fast is every day me and Trevor showed up to the office, we were scaling the business unknowingly. We just thought we had to do these things. So
yeah, no, it works. It's great.
yeah, because it's what our clients had wanted us to do. So we were just doing like it was
you
like,
learned.
yeah, we learned how to do it pretty
Yeah.
good too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like results. I mean, anybody can say like, oh yeah, I can build a website or I can drive traffic. It's like, okay, cool. Well, let's see the numbers.
yeah. Can you get results?
Yeah.
Does it actually move?
Yeah. What's the return? What's your ROI on that? Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
even,
right now it's pretty good.
yeah, it's awesome, dude.
Yeah. I think this is such a good idea. Like whether you do it for hybrid or you do it for a client, whatever it is, like this platform of communication, and it's open communication too. It's not like, I mean, I guess you do have some control on the post-production side of it,
I
but
mean,
like,
you have to. Yeah,
but for the most part, it's like freestyle, not freestyle, but like you're free to talk about almost
Yeah.
like anything, which is cool platform. Like I think that's
and
cool.
as businesses and brands, it's like people want to know who's behind these things and how do they maybe
But at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, who are you, right? Like, who is this person sitting across from me?
sure.
And this platform lets you, like when I watched the first episode you did with John, I believe.
John Weir, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, oh, like I didn't know him from Adam, and now I feel like I know him a little bit from just watching this. So it's cool to see the in-depth relationships.
Yeah, no. So thanks, man, for coming on. And
Yeah.
like I said, we'll keep doing this. And
Yeah,
if you
I'll be
wanna-
out here. I'll be coming back out here in a couple weeks, so we don't have to do a podcast, but we can definitely.
Yeah, no. Actually, what I want to do is have this set up in here
that'd be
in
awesome.
the corner and like ready to go for anybody. We're in town kicking it here. Like,
Yeah.
just jump in front of it, get a 4-way of just put a 4-way random group in
Oh,
here.
it'd be great. Set up the screens, play some puck.
Puck for sure. I already told Janae.
Yeah.
So if you're here on Thursday, like or whatever day you're here,
Yeah, I
like,
get in. Yeah, Thursday.
we'll be circling the wagon here at the warehouse. So just holler at your boy.
I'll be here.
All right.
All right, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Later.